Now, the butterfly may be one of the prettier members of the insect world, but it's also one of the most important. And tomorrow, the Robert Emmet Community Garden in Dublin 8, quite near the River Liffey, will host a garden butterfly workshop to explain why the butterfly is so vital to our lives and why it's doing well in urban areas, but not so well in the country, and what practical steps we can take to encourage butterflies into our gardens. Robert Moss of the Dublin Community Growers Butterfly Project is here with us to tell us more. Robert, how are you?
Very well, thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. There's a bit of a love-in going on with you and Eanna. Why is that?
Eanna used to be my teacher a year ago when I was studying, and she taught me ecology last year. So I'm actually hoping she won't ask me any awkward questions so that it will reflect well on her as a teacher. Hope springs eternal.
Come on, Eanna.
Robert was one of my better pupils, I have to say, always very enthusiastic, and I'm delighted to see that what I taught you had a bigger influence than anyone else taught you, because you've gone on to work about ecology and working in particular with community gardening. Now, you did a lot of work in community gardening for your thesis, and obviously you've expanded now to this. So can you tell us, what is a community garden?
Yeah, it's actually quite a difficult question to answer, that one, because there's almost as many varieties of community gardens as there are the people that set them up. They come in all different shapes and sizes. But I suppose there's a commonality there, and it is that a community garden is set up and used by the residents of a particular location, rather than being a sort of top-down project that may be set up by the government or a local authority.
Yeah, but in plain English, what it is that people take a bit of land in the city that isn't being used for anything else and start using it as a garden.
Yes, and it could be for growing their own vegetables, or it could just be an ornamental garden. They come in very many different varieties. More than anything, it's a social project as well as an environmental project, and it's for fun.
Is it hard to set up a community garden? Is it hard to get that piece of land? Land is one of the things that people keep a hold of. County councils and corporations.
Yes, it can be. In reality, it can be. My advice here to anyone who has the enthusiasm to set up such a project is, first of all, get the Residents Association on board, because it then makes it so much easier to deal with a local authority. You're talking with a united voice then. And that can get the ball rolling a lot more quickly. But there are issues that stand in the way of it, and the guide to community gardening helps address some of those.
Richard?
So, Robert, there's a bit of waste ground, say, what they call waste ground. Nobody's doing anything with. Was to have been a house built on it or something, but planning permission was refused or something like that. So the residents can get together and they can go to the local authority, and the local authority, it's probably a headache having this plot there anyway. And so they hand it over to the local residents. Now, who is going to decide? If I want to plant potatoes there, and Eanna wants to plant proteas or some exotic flower from South Africa or something. How do we resolve these kind of difficulties? Do we divide it up into little allotments for the various residents, or what do we do?
Well, the first step is dependent on whether it's public land, because obviously if it's a private land, you would need to approach the landowner, the developer, and reassure them that you're not attempting a land grab, that their land, their property is safe, and you're simply there wanting to improve the locality and make the appearance of the area a better place. If it's
Yeah, that's grand. So I mean, so you're not taking it on a permanent basis. It's just on a temporary basis while whatever's going to be done with the land actually happens. It mightn't happen for 2 or 3 years, and in the meanwhile, the community garden is making it look much nicer than a rundown place with weeds and stuff coming out of it. Isn't that generally what's involved?
That's a very good description. Yes, it might only be there for 4 or 5 years before the land is developed, but that can be a very long time in the life of a child. And many people now live in Dublin without their own garden. They live in apartments or flat complexes. So such amenities are very important.
Tell me about tell me about the butterfly project.
Okay, well, that I suppose the idea of that came about earlier this year. Dublin Community Growers, it's a grassroots network of community gardeners. They were looking for a project to raise the profile of these community gardens and raise the appreciation of them. And we thought about doing something on Biodiversity Week, during Biodiversity Week back in May. So we were thinking different ideas. We thought maybe of having a bat walk, and eventually we hit upon the idea of doing butterfly workshops to increase people's appreciation of them, but also to tell people how they can encourage them and how they can get them into their own gardens.
So you have this garden in Dublin 8 the Robert Emmet Community Gardens. And this is a great place for butterflies, is it?
It's a fantastic place. Just to explain, I myself am not involved with the Robert Emmet Community Development Project garden, but I'm well aware of it. It's a very large site. It used to be a large corporation flat complex and was demolished in 2006 and was just left as rubble. There were plans for public-private partnership redevelopment of the site. They didn't come to anything. And now it's been handed over to the residents of the Liberties, and it's a fascinating garden. It's very large. Large amounts of the garden have been set aside for nature, which is slowly encroaching, and you've got the colonising species of ragwort and buddleia. So it's fascinating to see nature reclaim what was once just concrete.
How do you encourage the butterflies?
Well, the buddleia, that buddleia plant you can see all around the place with big purple flowers on it, like a lilac for all the world, only you wouldn't be getting lilac in flower in August. It has very shallow flowers, so the butterflies can get the nectar out of it. So it's actually a magnet for butterflies at this time of the year, such as tortoise shells, red admirals, painted ladies. So any butterfly bush with the sun shining on it at this time of the year will be full of them. So if you get good weather on Sunday, is it Sunday or no, tomorrow, Saturday?
It's on Saturday at 12 o'clock.
There'll be loads of them there.
Buddleia should be the national flower of Dublin, because Dublin, of course, is a limestone-based county, and Buddleia, I think, came from the Himalayas. Père André brought it in way back, but it thrives and it's everywhere in the or used to be anyway, in the derelict sites of Dublin, and the butterflies absolutely love it. I have it in my front garden, and the number of butterflies on it. It's a wonderful thing.
You have a booklet on this as well, the Dublin City Guide to Community Gardening.
Yeah, where do you get that booklet?
You can actually get that from Dublin City Council, the Dublin Community Forum. And there's a telephone number, I think it's 222-3259, and they'll send you out a copy.
And we'll put that up on Gerald. If you put it up on the website, Gerald will have that done instantly. He's like that. So what's going to happen tomorrow? The people are going to record butterflies they see, or what's the plan?
They'll be encouraged to, yeah. The main thing tomorrow is to have fun. There will be a butterfly workshop which would involve myself and David Nash, who is the president of the Dublin Naturalist Field Club, and they would be really the authority on the ground here in Dublin about many different aspects of wildlife, not just butterflies. And we'll be talking about butterflies and their life cycle and the peculiarities of their life cycle, how to identify them, how to encourage them.
Now, can people bring butterfly nets and catch butterflies, or are you again that?
No butterfly nets tomorrow, no, but we're hoping for good weather and some butterflies that you can photograph and look at.
Are you kids are given nets, they're given sets, they're given a scientific set. What do you think of that? I know you're an enthusiast. What do you think about catching butterflies?
It's fine as long as they let them go again afterwards.
Does it damage the wings, Eanna?
Well, not really. If you catch them in a net, a proper butterfly net is so big that the long bag of the net, you catch the butterfly in the net and you turn over the top of it and the butterfly is in the net. Where you do damage butterflies is stuffing them into jam jars, and then the poor butterfly is threshing around in the jam jar and knocking all the scales off its wings. But I mean, if you caught it in a net and just looked in at it and said, oh yes, it's definitely, because some of the whites are, you nearly have to see them to know is it a large white or a small white, but let it go again afterwards and there's no problem.
I told you, Eanna knows everything. Robert Moss of the Dublin Community Growers Butterfly Project, best of luck tomorrow. Enjoy your butterfly collecting. If people want to go, that's in Bridgeford Street in Dublin 8 between 12 and 2 o'clock, and as there's face painting and light refreshments and all sorts of things. Thanks for coming in, Robert.
Should be great.